I, 35F, have a daughter Diana, 15F, who I've raised as a single mother since my husband passed away 12 years ago in a car accident. My sister Amy, 38F, and I used to be really close growing up. We shared everything and she was my biggest support system when I lost my husband. We both lived in different cities back then. I was in Seattle while she was in Portland. After my husband's death, I struggled a lot with balancing work and taking care of Diana, who was only 3 at the time. I worked as a junior copywriter then, and the pay wasn't great. I was barely making ends meet, and the medical bills from my husband's accident had left me with significant debt. That's when I got a job offer from a major advertising agency in Portland. The salary was almost double what I was making, and they offered great benefits. Amy immediately suggested that Diana and I move in with her until we found our own place. At first, everything seemed perfect. Amy had a spare bedroom in her apartment, and she helped us settle into our new life. She would watch Diana when I had to work late, which happened quite often during the first few months as I was trying to prove myself at the new job. Amy was great with Diana. She would read her bedtime stories, take her to the park, and even started teaching her how to bake cookies. Diana absolutely adored her aunt, and I was grateful for the help. After about 6 months, I had saved enough for a security deposit and first month's rent on a small 2-bedroom apartment. It was just 10 minutes from Amy's place, and she insisted on us staying close by. That's when I started noticing small changes in her behavior. She would show up unannounced at our apartment, claiming she missed Diana. She started buying expensive toys and clothes for Diana without consulting me first. When I tried to reimburse her, she would get offended and say that she had the right to spoil her niece. Things started getting really weird when Diana started school. Amy insisted on being listed as an emergency contact, which I agreed to since she lived closer to the school than my workplace. But then she started attending parent-teacher conferences without telling me, claiming she was just trying to help since I was busy with work. She would make decisions about Diana's after-school activities without consulting me. When Diana was 7, she enrolled her in dance classes without even asking me. The classes were expensive, and when I told Amy I couldn't afford them, she offered to pay. I felt guilty about depriving Diana of opportunities, so I reluctantly agreed. As Diana grew older, Amy's behavior became more concerning. She would post pictures of Diana on social media with captions like "my baby girl" or "mother-daughter day out." When people would comment about how similar they looked, Amy would just heart the comments instead of correcting them. She started planning all of Diana's birthday parties, school shopping trips, and even took her for her first haircut without telling me. I tried to talk to her about boundaries several times, but she would always turn it around on me. She would say things like, "Well, someone needs to be there for these moments," or "I'm just trying to give her the attention you're too busy to give." It made me feel horrible, but I was working hard to provide a good life for Diana. I had managed to pay off all our debts and even started a college fund for her. The breaking point came last week during Diana's 15th birthday party. Amy had insisted on hosting it at her house, saying her place was bigger and better suited for a teenager's party. I agreed because Diana seemed excited about it. During the party, Amy had created a slideshow of Diana's pictures through the years. At first, it seemed sweet, but then I noticed something odd. Most of the pictures were of just Amy and Diana from dance recitals, school events, and vacations. There were hardly any pictures of me with Diana. When it was time for the cake, Amy gathered everyone around and started giving a speech. She talked about how proud she was of her girl and how she had practically raised Diana while I was absent due to work. She showed everyone a photo album she had made, taking credit for all of Diana's achievements and milestones. She talked about teaching Diana to ride a bike, which my husband had actually started before he passed, helping her with her first school project, which I had stayed up all night working on, and being there for her first heartbreak, which Diana had actually confided in me about. I sat there feeling humiliated as Amy painted a picture of me as an absent mother who had prioritized her career over her child. Some of the other parents were giving me sympathetic looks, which made it even worse. Diana looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything, probably trying to avoid making a scene. After the guests left, I confronted Amy in her kitchen. I told her she had no right to undermine my role as Diana's mother and that while I appreciated her help over the years, she had crossed a line. She got defensive and said that she had done more for Diana than I had, and that Diana probably saw her more as a mother figure than me. She said I should be grateful that she had stepped in when I was too busy chasing a career to be a proper mother. She brought up every time she had helped with homework, attended school events, or taken care of Diana when she was sick. She conveniently forgot to mention that many of those times, she had insisted on helping even when I had said I could handle it. She acted like she had sacrificed everything for us, when in reality, she had been slowly trying to take over my role as Diana's mother. That was when I lost it. I told her that being an aunt who helped out didn't make her a mother, and that she needed to stop trying to rewrite history. She started crying and called me ungrateful, saying that Diana would hate me for keeping her away from the only stable parent figure she's ever had. That comment hurt more than anything else because it felt like she was dismissing not only my efforts as a mother but also my husband's memory. I called Diana, who was in the backyard with some friends who had stayed behind, and told her we were leaving. In the car, Diana asked me if we would ever see Aunt Amy again. I didn't know how to answer her. Since then, Amy has been calling and texting nonstop, saying I'm overreacting. She's even gotten our parents involved, who are taking her side. They keep saying I should be thankful that Diana had a second mother while growing up. But I don't see it that way. I worked hard to provide for my daughter, and yes, sometimes I had to work late, but I was always there for her important moments. I never asked Amy to be a replacement mother, just a supportive aunt. I've blocked Amy's number, but she keeps trying to contact Diana directly. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing by cutting her off completely, but I can't let her continue to undermine my role as Diana's mother. Ida? Update 1: The situation with Amy has gotten much worse than I could have imagined. After I cut contact with her, she's turned our entire family against me by spreading horrible lies about my parenting abilities. The amount of damage she's managed to do in just 2 weeks is shocking. At first, she started with subtle comments in our family group chat about how worried she was about Diana's well-being now that she couldn't keep an eye on things. When family members asked what she meant, she began sharing stories about how Diana would supposedly come to her house hungry and poorly dressed when she was younger. According to her, there were times when Diana would show up at her doorstep in the middle of winter wearing clothes that were too small or inappropriate for the weather because I was too busy working to notice. This is absolutely false. Even during our toughest financial times, Diana always had proper clothing and never went hungry. Yes, some of her clothes were hand-me-downs or from thrift stores during the first few years after her father died, but they were always clean and weather-appropriate. I may not have been able to afford brand-name clothes like Amy bought her, but I made sure my daughter's basic needs were always met. Last week, Amy took things to a whole new level. She created a group chat with our extended family and started sharing screenshots of text messages and emails from over the years. She had apparently been saving every single communication where I had asked her for help with Diana. There were messages from when Diana was younger, asking if Amy could pick her up from school because I was stuck in a meeting. Messages asking if Diana could stay at her place when I had to travel for work. Messages thanking her for watching Diana when she was sick and I couldn't take time off. But she conveniently left out all the context. She didn't share the messages where she had insisted on helping even when I said I had other arrangements. She didn't show the ones where she had offered to take Diana for the weekend because she missed her niece, only to later use those instances as proof that I was an absent mother. She didn't include any of the countless messages where I had thanked her or expressed my gratitude for her help. The most devastating blow came when Diana came home from school crying last Wednesday. It turns out Amy had taken her campaign against me to social media. She had somehow gotten access to a parent group for Diana's school and started messaging other parents. She told them that they should be concerned about letting their kids spend time at our house because I was unstable and had angry outbursts. She even suggested that I might be struggling with substance abuse because I sometimes seemed erratic when picking Diana up from events. I was usually just tired from work. These accusations hit particularly hard because many of these parents have known me for years. We've hosted sleepovers, helped with carpools, and attended countless school events together. But now, some of them are looking at me differently. Diana told me that 2 of her friends aren't allowed to come over anymore, and she was uninvited from a birthday party this weekend. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I had been trying to handle this privately for Diana's sake, but Amy's actions forced my hand. I made a detailed post on Facebook, sharing my side of the story. I included pictures of all the moments Amy claimed I had missed: Diana's first day of school, dance recitals, science fairs, and family vacations. I shared screenshots of old text messages where Amy had actually praised my parenting skills, directly contradicting her current claims. The response to my post was eye-opening. Several of our mutual friends reached out with stories about Amy's behavior that I hadn't known about. One friend, Jenny, told me about a school carnival 5 years ago when I was running late due to traffic. Amy had arrived before me and apparently introduced herself to the new teacher as Diana's mother. When I arrived 20 minutes later, the teacher was confused and thought I was the aunt. Another friend, Maria, shared how Amy had once corrected her son when he called me Diana's mom at a birthday party. According to Maria, Amy had said something like, "Well, I'm the one who's really raising her," and laughed it off like it was a joke, but Maria had always felt uncomfortable about it. But the most significant revelation came from my cousin Lisa. She called me after seeing my post and shared something that put everything into perspective. Apparently, about 13 years ago, before my husband's accident, Amy had learned that she couldn't have children. This was something she had never told me about. According to Lisa, Amy had confided in her about struggling with infertility and had become fixated on the idea of having a daughter. When my husband passed away and Diana and I needed help, she saw it as her opportunity to step into a maternal role. Lisa said she had worried about Amy's attachment to Diana back then but didn't want to add to my stress while I was grieving. She regrets not saying anything sooner. This information changed everything for me. All those years, I had interpreted Amy's behavior as just being an overly involved aunt who sometimes overstepped boundaries. I felt guilty for getting annoyed when she inserted herself into our lives because I thought she was just trying to help. But now I understand that she had been methodically trying to replace me as Diana's mother. Diana has been incredibly mature about the whole situation. When I showed her Amy's messages to the other parents, she was angry but also said something that broke my heart. She said, "Mom, I know you were always there for me. Maybe not for every single little thing, but for all the important stuff. And when you couldn't be there, you made sure I knew why and that it wasn't because you didn't want to be. I'm still trying to figure out how to move forward from here." Some family members have apologized after seeing the evidence I posted, but others are still firmly on Amy's side. They say I'm being cruel by keeping Diana away from someone who only wants to love her. But I can't help feeling that Amy's kind of love is dangerous, it's possessive and manipulative, and it's causing real harm to my daughter's life. Update 2: Just when I thought this situation couldn't get any worse, we discovered something that left me completely shaken. Last week, Diana was going through her old phone, the one Amy had given her for her 13th birthday. She wanted to transfer some photos before we got rid of it. That's when she found a hidden folder that Amy had apparently created. The folder contained hundreds of screenshots, photos, and documents, all meticulously organized by date. Amy had been secretly documenting every single perceived parenting mistake I made over the years. There were pictures of Diana with a scraped knee from falling off her bike, with a note attached saying "Mother nowhere to be found during accident." The truth was, I was right there when it happened, and we went to the drugstore together to get bandages. There were screenshots of text messages where I had asked Amy to pick Diana up from school because I was stuck in traffic. She had added notes like "third time this month, pattern of neglect." She had photos of our house from times she had visited, focusing on unwashed dishes in the sink or unfolded laundry on the couch, things that are normal in any busy household but that she had documented as evidence of an unfit living environment. But what really made my blood run cold was finding legal documents in the folder. Amy had been consulting with a lawyer about potentially filing for custody of Diana. The documents were from 3 years ago, and while she never went through with it, the fact that she had even considered it was devastating. The lawyer had apparently advised her that she didn't have a strong case without evidence of serious neglect or abuse, which explained why she had been so obsessed with documenting everything. When Diana showed me these screenshots, she also confessed something she had been keeping secret for years. Apparently, Amy had been having regular private conversations with her, telling her things like, "You can always come live with me if things get too hard with your mom," or "I know your mom tries, but some women just aren't cut out to be mothers." She had even set up a fully furnished bedroom in her house specifically for Diana, telling her it was her real room whenever she wanted it. Amy had also been recording our phone conversations without my knowledge. I found audio files where she had recorded me venting about normal parenting struggles, like when Diana was going through a difficult phase in middle school, or when I was stressed about balancing work deadlines with her school activities. These normal moments of parental frustration had been saved as potential evidence of my instability. What hurt the most was finding a draft of a letter Amy had written to Diana's school counselor 3 years ago. In it, she expressed concerns about my parenting and suggested that Diana might be better off living with her. She never sent the letter, but the fact that she wrote it shows how long she had been planning to try to take Diana away from me. Diana was understandably upset about finding all of this. She said she had always felt uncomfortable about how Amy would try to turn their private conversations toward criticizing me, but she hadn't wanted to cause problems in the family. She also admitted that there were times when she was younger when Amy's words had made her question whether I really cared about her as much as Amy did. This broke my heart because I had always tried to make sure Diana knew she was my top priority, even when work kept me busy. The most recent documents in the folder were from just 2 months ago, right before Diana's birthday party. There were notes about consulting with a different lawyer about grandparents' rights, even though she's an aunt, not a grandparent, and research about ways to prove parental alienation. It seems she was already planning her next move before I discovered what was happening at the birthday party. I've taken all of this evidence to my own lawyer. While Amy never actually filed for custody, the fact that she was building a case against me and manipulating my daughter is deeply disturbing. The lawyer advised me to document everything and get a restraining order, especially given how Amy has been trying to damage my reputation in the community. Diana is angry and hurt, feeling like she was used as a pawn in Amy's game. She asked me to block Amy's number on her phone and all her social media accounts. She says she doesn't want anything to do with her aunt anymore, which is sadly for the best given how manipulative Amy has been. Some family members who were previously defending Amy have changed their tune after seeing these documents. Even our parents, who had been firmly on Amy's side, are now starting to question her behavior. But honestly, at this point, I don't care about changing anyone's mind anymore. My focus is on protecting my daughter and helping her process this betrayal. Update 3. After everything that happened, Diana and I decided to make some major changes in our lives. We moved to Boston where my late husband's family lives. They've been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal, and honestly, they're the only real family we need right now. My mother-in-law actually helped us find a nice house in a good school district, and my husband's brother helped Diana get into a great performing arts program at her new school since she loves dancing. The move wasn't easy, especially for Diana who had to leave her friends behind. But after Amy's attempts to poison her social circle at our old school, we both agreed a fresh start would be good for us. What really sealed the deal was when we found out that Amy had been driving by our old house multiple times a day. Our neighbor told us she would park across the street and just sit there, sometimes for hours. It was creepy and made us feel unsafe in our own home. Amy hasn't given up trying to contact us, though she's gotten more creative about it. Last month, she created 5 different fake Instagram accounts to try to follow Diana. She used photos of random teenagers as profile pictures and pretended to be students from Diana's old school trying to reconnect. Thankfully, Diana recognized her writing style. Amy has a habit of using certain phrases that gave her away. She also sent a letter to my new workplace. I still don't know how she got the address, claiming she was getting therapy and wanted to make amends. The letter was full of backhanded apologies like "I'm sorry you felt threatened by my love for Diana, I'm sorry I had to step in when you were too busy for your daughter." She even included a certificate from a therapist, but when I looked up the therapist's name, no such person existed in the state registry. My in-laws have been amazing through all of this. They've helped us see that Amy's behavior wasn't just annoying or overbearing, it was dangerous. My father-in-law, who's a retired police officer, helped us document everything for the restraining order. He said Amy's pattern of behavior, the stalking, the fake social media accounts, the attempts to alienate Diana from me, is seriously concerning. The hardest part has been dealing with my parents. They're still pushing for reconciliation, saying things like "but she's your sister and family should stick together." Last week, they tried to guilt-trip me by saying Amy cries herself to sleep every night because she misses Diana so much. I had to remind them that Amy was the one who tried to destroy my relationship with my daughter and nearly succeeded in isolating us from our entire social circle. Diana is doing much better now. She's made new friends at school who don't know anything about the drama with Amy. She's seeing a counselor who specializes in family trauma, and it's helping her understand that none of what happened was her fault. Yesterday, she told me something that made all the difficult decisions worth it. She said, "Mom, I'm sorry I ever doubted you because of what Aunt Amy said. You've always been the best mom, even when things were hard. I've learned some hard lessons through all of this. Sometimes the people who claim to help you the most are actually the ones causing the most damage. Amy may have helped us when we needed it, but she tried to use that help to take over my role as Diana's mother. She couldn't accept that being an aunt who helps out doesn't make her a mother. We're not looking back anymore. We've built a new life here, surrounded by people who genuinely care about us and respect our boundaries. The restraining order is in place, and if Amy tries to contact us again, there will be legal consequences. Some might think I'm being harsh, but after everything she's done, I have to put my daughter's well-being first. Amy made her choices, and now she has to live with the consequences."